I've got my Empress vibe today. Can you tell? Thrival. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to unpack this topic of thrival. I hope you guys can see my whiteboard. I hope you guys can see my whiteboard. Hi, Nina Bovina. Are we good to go? Donna Madonna, I missed you. I'm so happy to see you. Hey, boo. I got my notes here that I'm going to have to refer to. Okay, cool. Folks are early for class. We're going to have so much fun today. I'm so excited. Yes, we can see thrival, life beyond survival, survival is how not to die. Thrival is how to win. We're going to get into all of that. Yay! Fancyfied Fridays. Fancyfied Fridays. Hi, Tisha. Embrace TLC. Sandra Cruz is in the house. One of my lifelines. So happy to see you this Fancyfied Fridays and on time. You guys are so punctual. South Africa is in the building. Mia, Goddess Mia, one of the closest people to me, tuning in from South Africa. So we've got the global community trickling in. Love it. Trey, HS, welcome to Fancyfied Fridays. I think that you guys are new. Nina, I love your energy as well. I am turned all the way up this Fancyfied Fridays, but I'm going to tell you that it was not easy. It was not a awesome week. I had a lot to work through this week. Yeah, Donna Madonna, Sandra Cruz, LinkedIn, like LinkedIn alumni, we are so in the building. Like we are so popping right now. We stay. Yo, LinkedIn alumni, I gotta say, man, we go on to do just such amazing things. You guys are such inspirations to me. So it's 12:01. We're gonna wait for a few more folks to pull up. We're gonna wait for a few more folks to join Fancyfied Fridays. We have an action-packed session. We have an action-packed conversation today. I'm gonna have a drink of water because you know I'm gonna be talking a lot. Yes, tuning in from SoCal, 95 degrees today. Okay, precious son, Fancyfied's gonna need to come pay you a visit. I mean, after the quarantine thing, of course, because I definitely want to come to San Jose, to LA, and take a dip in the pool. All right, what's up, Young Savage? Kyle Kulis is in the building. All right, guys, it's 12:01, and Fancyfied's gonna dive in. So welcome to Fancyfied Fridays. I am so excited to be with you today. I'm so excited to have this powerful conversation. I want you to know that personally, it's been an extremely challenging week for me. Super tough. You know, unfortunately, we had, my family due to COVID-19, we lost one of our loved ones. I'm from New York, and that is the epicenter of the pandemic, and to see so many of my family and my friends just being so impacted by this personally, and just knowing what's going on globally, like it definitely has weighed heavy on my heart. So before I get into the lesson today, let me just give folks who are not familiar with Fancyfied, who do not know who I am, a little bit about me. So my name is Lisa Francoeur in English, Francoeur. I'm Haitian. I'm a Haitian American, a proud Haitian American. And I say that to say my last name actually translates to pure heart. So if nothing else, you know I'm going to keep it 100 because Francoeur is in the building. So I'm a motivational speaker. I am an empowerment workshop facilitator, developer. I am an adaptability resilience expert. I am also a sales guru. I have a lot of stories and experiences that have enabled me to cultivate a mentality that is designed for not just surviving, meaning getting through, getting by, but thriving. And my desire, my goal is to share these learnings with you. So hopefully you yourselves don't have to go through the pitfalls that I went through to rise to the occasion of adversity, rise to the occasion of any challenge. So now that you have a little bit about me, let's get into Fancyfied Fridays. So this is the day of the week that we take time to talk about what's working in our life, talk about what inspires us. And so with that in mind, let's make sure that you guys are in. Okay, cool. Yep, you guys are still able to join. I see some folks having some technical difficulties. Let me just make sure that you guys can hear me, you can see me. Give me a hey. Give me a hey if you can hear me, if you can see me. Let me make sure that you guys are able to follow along. You guys with me? Yeah? All right. So we're going to carry on with the conversation. Welcome to Fancyfied Fridays. Just Blow, Curlis, Alexander, 3% Conf. Welcome, you guys. Welcome. I'm happy to have you. Excellent. All right. So last week at Fancyfied Fridays, we spoke about mission, we spoke about values, and we talked about vision. The reason why, hold on, guys. I'm going to refresh the page. All right. Okay, I think we should be good. Let's see. Okay. All right. Let me know if you can see me. Hey, okay, cool. Welcome, Edwin. Yes, there we go. Sorry about the technical difficulties, guys. They just won't let us be great. But guess what? Nothing is going to stop us. We are invincible. We are unstoppable. You're back. I'm back, Nina Bobina. Let's get it popping. Mommy, my mother, is on the line. Mom, I'm so proud of you for figuring out how to go live, to access the live stream. And my mother is chatting. Yes. Okay, guys. Perfect. Come on. Let's go. Folks are trickling in. We're getting Fancyfied up and running. Madam Nicole, of course. You know you're my heart. New York is in the house. Spain is in the house. Alfita, I'm glad that you were able to take time out of your afternoon to join us for Fancyfied Fridays. My mom, talking about you got it. I am my mother's daughter. All right, cool. South Africa's in the house. Excellent. All right, guys. Perfect. You people are talking to my mom in the chat. Turn up. Selena, Subtle Savage is in the building. All right, guys, we got a lot to discuss today, so I'm going to carry on with the conversation. Bet. Here we go. So last week at Fancyfied Fridays, we spoke about vision, mission, values. That is the cornerstone of establishing a life that is rooted in intentionality, a life that is created. They say if you want to predict the future, well, actually, Fancyfied says this. If you want to predict the future, you have to create it. Your vision, mission, and values are the cornerstones to predict that future. So if you guys have vision, mission, values that you want to share with the community, by all means, comment. We want to see what you guys have crafted based on last week's conversation, based on the time that you've had to think through it. What's up, BA? All right, cool. So let's get into today's lesson, right? Today we're going to be talking about Thrival. Thrival is not just about surviving, meaning existing, living. It's about flourishing. It's about prospering, right? And that's why we chose this topic today, because in the midst of the chaos, in the midst of the crises, there will be life after this. And what we're wanting to do is we're wanting to create a life that is designed for us to flourish, that is designed for us to rise to the occasion. Yes, Mia, if you want to predict the future, you have to create it. I have a poem that I wrote about that. We'll release that later. But let's get into it. So today, I wanted to, as always, kick off the conversation with positive shares. So the Fancyfied Fridays framework, for those of you that are new and for those of you that are returning, is very simple. It's a 3-step process. The first step is a positive share for the Fancyfied Fridays framework. What's working in your life? What is inspiring you? What brings you joy? Everyone share whatever positive share you have, and throughout the conversation, I'll be calling them out. For me, I know that this has been an extremely challenging week. I mentioned earlier that I lost a family member due to COVID-19. I'm from New York. I don't live in New York anymore. I live in California, but I still have so many loved ones out there that are being impacted directly by COVID-19, from losing loved ones falling ill. And, it's quite frankly been an extremely trying week for me personally. And as I started to think about just the global implications of this pandemic and how many people are suffering, what it reminded me was like the fragility of the human experience. Like, we're tough, we're resilient, but we're not invincible, we're not indestructible, and that's a part of the life experience. So what my goal is in having a conversation around thrival is to help us all work through how, in spite of the crisis, in spite of the chaos, we're able to identify ways, strategies, even the mentality required to think about prospering, to think about flourishing. So Fancyfied share, positive share. I was having a tough time this week. A lot of things were, coming up for me. I was feeling sad. I was feeling, really, quite frankly, unmotivated. And, it was impacting my work. It took a toll on my work. And I'm an extremely motivated, extremely like power through kind of person. But what I realized is that I don't need to just power through. I need to through, pray through. And because my work was impacted, I had a conversation with my team where they were like, yo, are you all right? Like, it's okay if you need time for bereavement. And I was at first slighted by that. Can you believe, like, I took offense? Like, what are you trying to say? I'm incompetent or what have you. So my positive share was that, like, I have people who helped me realize that it was time to take a break. My challenge was to overcome the mentality of feeling offended by the people that love me, that just want to make sure that I'm okay, and realize that I'm going at 100,000 miles an hour, but I needed a break. So that's a good thing that they care enough about me, right? To say, look, it's okay to take time. So my action step is to think about the source. When someone that I love or that I know loves me is giving me advice or pointing things out, maybe my blind spots, if I see it as this is coming from a place of love and they're looking out for me, then I won't be defensive. I'll be grateful. So that's my challenge. That's my positive share. That was my challenge and the action step that I'm going to take to overcome that challenge. Jay Shakti says, I realize I have a tendency to overwork to avoid things, and this time is providing her time to do the work, to heal. Like, look, if you're a part of this community, odds are you're an overachiever, odds are you're totally alpha, and we want to make shit happen. However, at what cost? So it's really important to do check-ins. So when we talk about thrival and strategies to cultivate thrival mentality, we'll dig more into tactics to help us, give space and check in with ourselves to make sure that we're in the right state of mind to move forward. Mia the Goddess said, you are surrounded by love and support. What a beautiful thing to accept in the midst of your pain. This is why I love the Fancyfied community. This is why I'm so grateful, because I have people like you guys who are working with me, who are supporting me. I'm supporting you. And it's this virtuous cycle. Nina Bobina says her challenge is that she found out that she's going to be unpaid. She's going to be an unpaid employee for her organization because she's here in the United States and she works out of Singapore. But her positive share is that she qualifies for unemployment, and with the time, she'll be able to learn things like how to cook. And it's that kind of curiosity that cultivates a thrival mentality, recognizing that with whatever you have, there are ways to navigate to help you find joy. Great share. What's up, Cash Out Rich Kid? You got my hair gel. Look, you see what I'm doing? I need that hair gel. Anyway, so keep the positive shares, keep the challenges, keep the action steps, key action steps you're going to take to overcome those challenges. And now let's get into the heart of today's conversation at Fancyfied Fridays. The heart of the matter is thrival, right? When I was thinking about what would make today's conversation impactful, immediately I thought, wow, this is a conversation that I know I need to have, because I'm not just interested in getting by. I'm interested in contributing. I'm interested in helping heal. I'm interested in empowering and rising to the occasion, transcending any and every adversity. Jay Shakti also says an attitude of gratitude. Congrats on the unemployment, Nina. That's what I'm talking about, the community building connective tissue. Excellent. Alexis Rose Music says this time has been an opportunity for her to reevaluate her personal goals, work and what she's building, working, on what she wants to build. That's what I mean when I say if you want to predict the future, you have to create it. Excellent. Monty's on the line. 3BBS Mama. Fantastic. Okay, guys. So again, the concept of Thrival is designed to help us cultivate a mentality that's rooted in flourishing, a mentality that is rooted in transcending our challenges. I want you to write that down. I want you to write down Thrival is about how to win. And I know that in a time like this, it might be hard to process what winning looks like, given there's so many things out of your control. But you know as well as I do, this community is about controlling the controllables. So make sure you write down Thrival, how to win, as we continue to delve deeper into the subject matter. Cool. So I got to check my notes because I got to make sure that I stay on track. So survival. We talked about survival being how not to die. That sounds kind of like morbid, but I wanted to really I wanted that to be like really impactful. I wanted for you to really think about what that means, how not to die. Like in a time like this where people unfortunately are losing their lives, right? That's probably where most of us are thinking about survival. How am I going to feed myself? How am I going to pay my bills? Is my employment secure? If it's not, how am I going to get work? All of these conversations that we're having internally around getting by. Do not get me wrong. That is important. Do not get me wrong. It's crucial to be thinking these thoughts and to be proactively thinking about how do you want to navigate going forward, given that the terrain has changed. Trinidad dances, my condolences, Mia. However, wonderful as per his inspiration to you. So they're having a side chat. That's cool. That's what I love to see. Alexis Rose Music says, how not to die. Wow, that's so true and real. Exactly. That's why I wanted you to write it down. Thrival, we talked about how to prosper, how to flourish, how to win. So do you see what I'm doing here? I'm helping us recalibrate, meaning the survival mentality to the thrival mentality, to a mentality that is rooted in getting by, how not to die, getting through, versus flourishing, thriving. So this is a mental exercise. This is how we go from a, kind of basic foundational living experience, life experience, to a more expansive, a more enlightened, a more empowered mentality. So what does prospering look like for you guys? I would love to hear folks speak to what brings them joy. I'm circling back to this because when we think about flourishing and how we define flourishing, it boils down to what brings us joy. When are we our greatest? Thru says, my devotion this week was about the ruthless elimination of hurry, living and breathing in the triumvirate of joy, love, and peace. Damn, girl, talk about the word. Yes. I gotta have you as a guest on Fancyfied Fridays so that we could talk more about your strategies and techniques. For those of you who are in the conversation, read REI_Altru, ALTRU, what she had to say. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you for that share. Jay Shakti says that part, patience in seeing our seeds grow. What's up, Quasi? It's such an honor to have my Next Play family on the line. They know what a tough week I've had. They stood by me, spoke faith into me, and made sure that I was able to have the time to process, the time to recalibrate. So shout out to my peoples. All right. Calculus, what do you have to say? Being in a vibrant community brings me joy, supportive friends, family, and builders. I love that, Young Savage. That's what I'm talking about. Tiffany Sharonda says, oh my God, I love her. Go read. I love her too. Yes. Yes, Fancyfied Fridays community. So I got a personal story to share. For me, when I am seeking inner peace, and this was part of the reason why I even moved to California, I go for a hike. And there's a specific place, I call it my sacred space. in the Berkeley Hills, and it literally gives me a view, panoramic view of the entire bay. It's unbelievable. And I go there because it gives me time to just be. If you can tell, I mean, for those of you who know me, for those of you who do not, I have so much energy. Matter of fact, I be bouncing off the walls all the time. So like this particular hike enables me to exert myself. There's a physical exertion. It's almost like kind of painful to like have to scale this massive hill, but the reward is being able to see the entire bay, and it's breathtaking. And it's one of the tactics that I use when I need to find my inner peace. And this time I went last, I was writing poetry. I've been writing a ton of poetry. I don't know what has a creative valve has been opened as a result of this, maybe isolation, maybe this crisis. So that's like a constructive way for me to like go back to center, take a moment to reflect. And Donna Madonna 84 says, human connection brings me joy. Making sure I check in with people who I know may be struggling. That's what I'm talking about, because in spite of the physical distance, that doesn't mean that we can't stay connected. And staying connected is the like essence of humanity. It's how we as human beings survive. We need each other. And that's why my values at Fancyfied Friday Fancyfied in general, are to uplift, empower, inspire, and unite. Thank you, Donna Madonna, for that awesome share. B. James says Grizzly Peak. I imagine that that's another place that I need to add to my hiking list. Thanks for the share. So what I want to do now is I want to talk about the notion of thrival. So as humans, we always want to improve for the most part. Don't get me wrong. Some folks are kind of like, meh. And don't get me wrong, that's fine. But those are not the people that are part of this community. The people that are a part of this community, they want to predict the future. So they're willing to create it. So going back to the notion of thrival, right? What are you working on now to improve your circumstances? I would love to hear from you guys as to, again, in the vein of flourishing, in the vein of thriving, prospering, what are you doing to improve your current situation or just life in general? Let's talk about some of the actual strategies, the actual tactics, the life hacks even that you guys are employing to help you rise above the situation. 3BBS Mama says, Little Mario says, hike to the Stanford dish. Oh yeah, my cousin, he got into Stanford, so shout out to the Nicholas family, because obviously you guys are, we're breeding success. We're breeding brilliant minds. I'm not the only one. Just kidding. I didn't go to an Ivy League school. I went to the School of Hard Knocks. Okay, so a couple of steps. We have 8 minutes left in the Fancyfied Fridays Thrival discussion. It's a lot to unpack. Do not get me wrong. Let me pull this up. It's a little too much. Do not get me wrong. I know that we're covering a lot of ground. It's a power half an hour. It's 30 minutes of intense life hacking. Don't worry. I'm going to build out eventually a curriculum around all this. So that's coming, TBD. But let me give you some tips to cultivate a thrival mentality. Because if it's not actionable, then it's not popping. If it's not actionable, then it's not Fancyfied certified. So let's make sure that you walk away from today's conversation with the last 7 minutes that we have with some actionable steps. Step 1, never stop learning. Okay? Check this out. Life, imagine if you decided that, like, you know everything. Let's just say hypothetically, you're like, nah, I'm good. I know everything. How boring would it be to live? If you knew everything, then what would impress you? Like, what would get you excited? See what I mean? Just the notion of thinking that you don't know everything, just the notion of recognizing there's so much to explore, there's so much to see, to learn, to roll out, to incorporate into the way that you live so that you can live better and be better for yourself and others. Keep learning. So let me ask you guys, what are you learning? Trinidad Dan 868 says thrival, consistently exercising, insanity. Okay. Updated resume, working on passion projects, spending more quality time with family. That's what I'm talking about. Come on, what else we got? Keep it coming. What's up, Code? It's hard to say your Instagram handle, so forgive me. But what's up, Code Name PT? There we go. I know you had meetings. My homeboy from Google's in the house. I know he had meetings. He was able to pull up. Love to see it. Love to have you. Alexis Rose Music, thumbs up. Yes, honey, thumbs up indeed. So what are we learning? Let's talk about it. If we're talking about Thrival and cultivating a Thrival mentality, I want to hear from you guys what you're learning. Coach Davis, you know what's up. So let's have you guys talk about what you're learning. Hey, Fancy. Yeah, that's my boo. Embrace change and lean. So hold on a second. I'm going to pause. I want you to write this down. Never stop learning. That's step 1 in Thrival. Step 2, embrace change and lean into evolution. So what does that mean, Fancyfied? Well, the one constant is change. And so the less attached we are to the status quo, the easier it'll be to cope with things that are, 1, out of our control, 2, that can cause us anxiety because we're like trying to hold on to what was. We're trying to hold on to something that is no longer there. And that is the cause of a lot of discomfort. So my recommendation is to play with the idea of embracing change. It's an extremely difficult challenge. It's an extremely difficult process, but it's a process that will spare you suffering. The Buddha says pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Damn, that's something you should write down too. So embracing change, leaning to evolution. For example, this week I found myself saying, how? Crucial. Instead of just being like, I can't, or why, or whatever, I started to think how. Something as mundane as, how do I use the goddamn juicer? Selena, I don't know what to do. You're going to have to help me with that. Nina Bovina says, yes, like my stubborn old dad who doesn't, I love your father. He's stubborn, but you know what? The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and that's probably why you're a genius. I'm Coach Davis says, being still. Dude, tell me about that. DJ Magic Kenny, you have to go through it and not around it. Yup, pain is gain. The next lesson down the line, I'm going to be talking about the 4 P's, which are passion, purpose, pain, providence. That's a little teaser though. Cool. So embrace change and lead into evolution. In order to keep growing, you must allow yourself the space, the time to grow. So remember that it's important to recognize the areas that you want to improve upon, not the areas that you suck at, because that's just not a positive way of looking at it, and that might demotivate you. You want to look at the things that you want to learn and learn with excitement and enthusiasm, which actually brings me to the last step in Thrival, which is releasing your inner child. You know, I'm going to keep it 100. I'm 39. I'm about to be 40 years old, right? And I say that to say, like, I am fun. I'm like a kid. I'm like always jumping up and down. I'm always like running around. I have fun with life because I think that adults, you know, the notion of adulting and the notion of being an adult and all that, like, it seems kind of drab. It's like, oh, you can't like make noise because you're an adult, or you can't flail your arms in the air or have a pillow fight, or, you know, some of the silly things that kids do. But I say, my thought is the antithesis of that. I think it's so crucial for you to just find ways to have fun and let loose. The reason why I say that as well, because how many of you know boring adults? That's why I'm divorced. Not to poo-poo on that guy, but you know, this is a person that didn't really smile much. This is a person that wasn't very like, you know, happy and like loving life. And Alexis Rose Music said, you better go ahead. Exactly. No shade, but just not the kind of person that I want to keep in my circle, because I want people who are about that flourishing, thrival life. Trini Dan 868 says 1000%. You know what's up. Fancyfied ain't making this up. 3BS Mama says, amen. Life is meant to be enjoyed. Exactly right. So we've got 1 minute left, and we talked about the 3 steps for Thrival. We talked about, write this down if you can, never stop learning, embrace change, and release your inner child. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation about Thrival, Life Beyond Survival. And I hope you are able to implement some of the recommendations that we've outlined. Definitely go through the chat. Definitely, see what some folks recommended. The Fancyfied community is popping heart body, so you can see from the chat strategies that they're using to keep things moving forward and thriving. Next week, I'm super excited. Guess what? We're going to have a special guest. The special guest is a creative director, a global creative director. He is a brand architect and, quite frankly, a genius. So he's going to be talking about personal branding in our next conversation next Friday at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. I definitely hope that you come back to the conversation. I know of Torrance said, thanks, Fancy. Fancyfied got you. I love you guys. So before we end today's conversation, I would love to just leave you with a quote from Bruce Lee. If you know Bruce Lee or you do not know Bruce Lee, check him out. He is literally one of the best martial art practitioners in the world. He passed away a while ago, but check out Bruce Lee, who said this, and I'm going to read it to you. Empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now you put water in a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend. Yay! So guys, we are 1 minute past the power half an hour, but we covered a lot of ground today. I hope that you felt my positive energy. I hope that I infected you. The same way you can be infected with disease, you can be infected with positivity, with joy, with peace. And those are the virtues that I want the community to feel from me, certainly, and from one another for sure. Donna Madonna says, be water. Mia Goddess says, yes, excited for next week too. Coach Davis says, be water. Exactly right, because you want to be in flow. So guys, Fancyfied Fridays is coming to an end. I hope that this was a valuable conversation for you today. And I just want to say that have a wonderful weekend. I can't wait to see you again next Friday. Same time, same place. Tell your friends, tell your mama. My mama pulled up. And that is the end. Bye.